SustainED Group is a nonprofit group with a vision to empower the next generation of sustainability leaders to take action and scale impact with the support of a community of mentors. We understand that to solve the tough problems we're facing now, we need exponentially more change makers, and we need leaders like yourself to step up and lead the initiatives, and we need you to learn faster from the current practitioners and be even more effective. That's why we're hosting a webinar series as part of our initiatives to build a community of change makers. So without further ado, welcome Amy and Adara.
So just a little bit more about me. Again, I'm 17 years old. I'm apprenticing at SustainED right now, and it's been really awesome. What I do outside of that is for the past 2 years or so, I've always been really passionate about climate. So I'm doing research most primarily in carbon sequestration. So genetic engineering plants, if that's possible, to sink more carbon, and also looking into other carbon sinks like sea kelp, for example, and how we can rehabilitate that. And I'm also looking a lot into alternative proteins, so making protein products out of different things like insects or plant-based meat as well. So without further ado, Amy can introduce herself a little bit briefly now, and also our other champions here today.
So yeah, just very briefly, I manage our Living Planet at Work program, and really it's an online program that helps employees take action for nature. So we do that through offering free online resources, as well as some support to anyone who's interested in leading office sustainability or now kind of work from home sustainability initiatives, as well as certain employee engagement actions. I am happy to introduce a couple of guests who have familiarity with the program as well, who are champions of ours. So first I'll introduce Diana Suzuki. If you want to just briefly share a couple of things about what you do.
Thanks, Amy. I'm really glad to be here. I work in the city of Mississauga as the supervisor of environmental outreach. And so I work with a team of 2 others, and we do education both internally at the city, engaging employees in our sustainability initiatives, and then also out in the community as well.
And I did see that Matt is on the call as well, and he works at Loblaw, so I'll hand it over to you, Matt.
My name is Matt, and I'm a coordinator in the corporate social responsibility team in Loblaw Companies Limited. Really excited to be here as well and to talk a little bit more about who we are, our strategy around colleague engagement, and some of the great work that we're trying to get our colleagues involved in.
But to kick off, just a couple hot seat questions, just really simple questions. Just give us your answer for these. So first one is, what's your favorite hobby?
I have to say, just getting out in nature. Nature is basically a part of my life. So going out for hikes is something that I try to do as much as possible.
What is your favorite animal?
Definitely cats. I have 2 of them. You might see one just crawling on the back of my screen, so look out, but for sure, I'm a huge fan of cats.
Composting or planting trees?
Definitely composting. I actually have a worm composter at my house that I use, so if anyone wants to learn more about that, I will be happy to share.
So sunrises or sunset?
Sunset. I can't wake up for sunrises.
If you could go anywhere right now, where would you go?
I think I'd like to see the East Coast, obviously minus any restrictions, but I'd love to be able to see the East Coast of Canada. Haven't been there.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, for sure.
Awesome. So again, just to kind of kick off, I would love to know kind of a bit about, your career that you're working at Living Planet at work at WWF, and kind of what was the spark that got you into the environmental space? And then after that, you can go into the presentation you have to share your work with us as well.
So for me, I basically since childhood, I've always felt that my kind of service that I want to provide to society is to be able to help in some way. So for me, I was thinking, I want to be able to help people. I also want to be able to help the environment. And so as I kind of got older and, when I got into high school, I was more thinking about, well, what is what is something that is kind of a good intersection between being able to help people and being able to help the environment? And so I decided to go on this, or I decided to take this program at the University of Waterloo called Environment and Business. Business obviously is a huge contributor to the environmental issues that we're facing today, but they can also be a huge part of the solution. So that's where my focus was, and I took that, and really now I'm kind of living that intersection between business and the environment. So yeah, and maybe what I can do is just share my presentation, and so I can explain a little bit more about, very briefly, about WWF Canada, but specifically more about the Living Planet at Work program. And so I would say right now we're at this very critical moment in our history. Not only are we rumbling through two very global health and social crises right now, so obviously we're facing this urgent pandemic of COVID, but we're also seeing protests and global support for the Black Lives Matter movement to fight racial injustice. And that support is coming here in Canada as well, but we're also facing issues around racial injustice in Canada as well. So thinking about this, those are two massive crises in and of themselves. But in addition to this, we've also been experiencing two very interconnected environmental crises, and that is the crises of climate change and biodiversity loss. And the degradation of nature is one of the things, one of the major things that's contributing to both of these. So just to give you some context, globally, around 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions result from the destruction of habitat, and that can be from activities like deforestation or development in coastal regions or wetland conversion to agriculture, urban sprawl. So lots of kind of human-led causes for this. And habitat loss and disruption, so from the causes that I just mentioned, they're also the primary reason for wildlife decline. And so you can see how all of this is connected. And really right now, we're at this risk of destabilizing the whole planet. And we really just have 10 years to act. And this 10 years is based off of some goals and milestones that major global groups have felt that we need to meet, including, for example, with the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is kind of scary stuff. It's kind of overwhelming, but what I will say is that all hope is not lost. We certainly can restore the balance of nature. We can bring back that stability and that productivity that we rely on from nature to survive and sustain ourselves. And so at WWF in Canada, that's what we see. That's what our vision is. We want to see a Canada with abundant wildlife where people and nature thrive. And we are working on some pretty cool conservation initiative to do that, but we really can't do that alone. And so we collaborate with many different stakeholders, including individuals, businesses, schools and campuses, Indigenous groups, other conservation groups, many others, in order for us to achieve this work, because it does take collective action to do that. And so my role within WWF, like I mentioned, we work with business. So we're on the corporate partnerships team. And I help engage that audience, the business audience, in our conservation work. And so I see my role as being kind of helpful in two ways. So with our corporate partners, we have access to hundreds of thousands of employees across the country potentially, which we have the potential to organize activities with. And so you'll see an example of that when Matt speaks of how we can really mobilize employees together toward a common good. And the other important piece is through Living Planet at Work, I've been able to learn a lot about some of the stories that our champions like Helia and Diana have done through using the program and through some of their other work at the City of Mississauga. And I just wanted to quickly with this slide really just highlight that employee engagement is something that companies really should be thinking about if they're not yet, because not only are employees becoming more aware of the fact that they want to work for companies that have purpose. They don't just want to work for a paycheck anymore, and they'll actually, take pay cuts, and they will refuse to work for companies now at this point who do not align with the values that are important to them. And so that's what Living Planet at Work kind of aims to do. Is we are a program that helps to kind of help employees work in positions but who either don't work in sustainability formally, or maybe that they do work in sustainability formally and they're just looking for a way to help align their company's values with the values of their employees. And so we work in a number of different areas. The first one is supporting conservation in Canada, and that is through, so we have programs that really align with WWF Canada's goals for conservation. And one example that Matt will share is with the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup, where we're able to get a number of employees to volunteer and directly support our conservation mission. Our second pillar through Living Planet at Work is we offer some online resources to help employees take action and reduce their workplace's environmental footprint. And finally, we do offer some initiatives and some kind of employee giving opportunities to fundraise for conservation and give back to conservation. So very quickly, what does workplace footprint reduction look like? These are examples of some of our resources that we have. You can see it's a wide range of resources, and we offer these guides kind of free of charge for champions to take and roll with and take the ideas from and really just use them to help advance their sustainability efforts. Like I mentioned, we have WWF conservation activities. The Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup is a good example of that. Obviously, during this time, we're not encouraging people to participate in physical Great Canadian Shoreline cleanups, but there is a lot of stuff that you can do still that we're kind of, sorry about there's a cat on my lap right now, so you might see some cat ears and tails floating around. But there's a lot of other things that you can do digitally, in which we've been looking at doing. So one is some webinars around plastics, for example, some fun trivia events, but there's also educational webinars and demos that we offer and that we have offered to companies. And then finally, fundraising. So again, kind of classically, our fundraisers would be held in the office, but now we do offer some online opportunities to fundraise as well. So we're still kind of adjusting, and we're still thinking about ways and the best ways to engage companies. But in a nutshell, that's what the program is all about. I wanted to take it over to Matt, if you wanted to chat a little bit about Loblaw and some of the cool stuff that we're doing together.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe I'll just start off by providing a bit of background and context on Loblaw. So we are Canada's food and pharmacy leader, and we play an important role in bringing about positive environmental and social change, both nationally and in the communities we serve. To Amy's earlier point, Loblaw, we believe we are a purpose-led and a values-driven organization. And through our daily actions, we demonstrate this. Our company's purpose is to help Canadians live life well. And our focus on corporate social responsibility, which is the department that I work in, really helps us deliver on that purpose. We have a robust and mature corporate social responsibility program, which touches virtually every division and work stream within our organization. And our efforts on corporate social responsibility began back in 2007. And for more than 10 years now, we have had a strong partnership with WWF Canada. And our partnership with WWF Canada is really a part of our corporate social responsibility strategy. More than a decade ago, in an effort to reduce our environmental impact, we began charging for plastic bags in our stores. And from the partial proceeds from the sale of the plastic bags in our stores, we've actually funneled that money to WWF Canada to support a variety of different conservation type programs. To date, we've donated more than $10 million. And some of the programs we have supported include the Loblaw Water Fund, our Native Plants Program, the National Sweater Day, and for the past 10 years, we've been a presenting sponsor of the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup. We really like this partnership and promoting that program internally, because it really is a conservation program, and it really gives Canadians and both their employees the opportunity to take action in their communities by helping clean up anything, really, from shorelines really to parks as well, which a lot of people don't know about shoreline cleanups, but you can have a shoreline cleanup even if you're not necessarily right on the shoreline. Also, one of our CSR pillars, so a big part of our CSR strategy, is community and giving back to the places where we live and work every day. And one way we deliver on this mission is to encourage our colleagues to volunteer with causes that they're passionate about, and to provide them from the corporate level with the support and the resources they need to make a positive difference in their communities. We really believe that the shoreline cleanup is it's a fantastic vehicle to help mobilize colleagues into volunteerism and to help protect and conserve some of Canada's most valuable and shared resources, like our lakes or streams or rivers, waterways. To date, through the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup program, more than 1.3 million kilograms of litter have already been picked up. And last year alone, more than 1,100 of our colleagues either participated or led shoreline cleanup events across the country. And we've really found that the shoreline cleanup is one of the most successful programs to inspire volunteerism within our network, and to get a lot of our colleagues excited and to continue to support it. On this slide, as you can see, there's a couple images. One of them is from the WWF CN Tower Climb. Every year we have a really strong delegation of Loblaw colleagues that participate in the shoreline CN Tower Climb. Shoreline cleanup is the second image there, sort of centered. And that was my team last year. We were really excited. We had, I think, around 30 colleagues just for my team alone that participated. And then the photo on the bottom left is our company president, Sarah Davis, along with the WWF Canada CEO and president, Megan Leslie, and they were participating in a Loblaw Water Fund event back in the summer of 2018. One of the ways that we promote and we talk about a lot of the environmental or conservation type programs that we have, including shoreline cleanup, native plants, CN Tower, etc., is by promoting it on our CSR at Loblaw Yammer group. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Yammer, but it's sort of like a company approved Facebook, I guess, to a certain degree, where we promote and we talk about these things. We encourage a lot of our colleagues to share their experiences and their stories on the page, things that they're passionate about, things that they're interested in, things that they want to know about. And a lot of the things that come up from some of these groups really guides and informs sort of how we manage and talk about these things. And that's how we, that's really one of the primary vehicles we use to promote and talk about the program. And then I also included on the top right-hand side, our most recent corporate social responsibility report, where we talk about the work that we're doing, and we talk about some of the colleague volunteer initiatives that we engage in, and also our highlight document, which provides just a snapshot of some of these things as well.
So I will take it over now to Helia and Diana to chat about their efforts at the City of Mississauga.
So similarly to Loblaw, City of Mississauga is really focused on engaging our staff in our sustainability initiatives, and we recognize as a city that if we are promoting and encouraging our communities to live in a certain way, then our staff need to be doing similarly, and we need to be greening our operations from the inside out. So as part of our work, we engage with our internally with our staff through a program. So Halia, who's on the call as well, she's my colleague. We work on environmental outreach together with a third colleague who's not on the call today. And we're part of a larger team actually at the city. There's 9 of us. We're actually one of the smaller teams in the city. If you can go to the next slide. We work on a number of things. One of the biggest projects that we're working on is our climate change program. So the city, as you may be aware, the city in 2019, just before the end of the year, approved the city's first climate change plan. And so that plan outlines both corporate and community actions to create a more climate resilient city. And a lot of our work has been focused on raising awareness about climate change, the importance of taking climate action. Our team also deals with corporate waste management, and there's a number of other environmental initiatives from urban agriculture to renewable energy that we also work on. Next slide. So my team, my small team of 3, we are tasked with doing, there's really 2 parts to our environmental education and outreach program. Internally, our program that we deliver is called Green Leaders. So it's an employee engagement program. And basically what we do is we work with staff volunteers who sign up to be green leaders or green champions in their facilities. So that's where we focus internally, and then externally we actually have a program that goes out into the community. Of course, this year with COVID-19 we are not doing that, so we have not been attending events, but we've been doing leading a very strong social media campaign, actually several campaigns around Earth Day, Earth Month, Environment Month actually, which is happening currently. So we're still continuing to engage the community in ways that are available to us. So talking specifically about Green Leaders, if you can go to the next slide. So our Green Leaders program has actually been running at the city since 2014. I would say it's been a fairly successful program, and that's largely because of the fact that we have really good support from our leadership team. So we sort of have 2 leadership teams as a municipality. We obviously report to and need to respond to the needs of our councillors who represent our community, but also we have an internal team of directors and commissioners who also direct the internal workings of the city. And so it's been great to have the support of the mayor. There's a picture of her there with a couple of our staff from last summer promoting a litterless lunch campaign. So it's been really important to have the support of our senior leaders. That we have found throughout the years since this program's been at the city in 2014, that has been what has helped to propel the program forward, and really has the success of the program has really relied on that. So typically we start off every year with some training that we do in person. There's a picture here of us doing an in-person training session, and you never, like, these are all volunteers. You never think that staff, and staff are really busy. They have a lot of things and a lot of projects that they're working on, but these are staff that are making time out of their busy days to champion green initiatives. So they will come out and they'll participate in all of the projects and initiatives that we have lined up for them. So we're in our 7th year of the program now, and we've actually expanded out to every single city facility. We have about 150 green leaders, again, volunteers who've signed up for the program, and it's really a fantastic way to engage
engaged staff, and as Amy mentioned before, staff really do want to work for somewhere that cares about the community and cares about sustainability. And so it's been great to have increasing interest in involvement in the program. The next slide shows some pictures of some different initiatives that we've been involved in. It's been great to participate in a program like WWF's Living Planet at Work. They have a lot of great resources. And what's great about our program, Green Leaders, is that it was an existing program already. What we like about WWF's resources is that they're packaged so well that we can just integrate them into our existing program. So the way we structure our program every year is around sustainability themes. So anything from energy conservation, waste reduction, water conservation, things like that. That's kind of how we structure the year with themes. And so it's been great to kind of plug in the WWF resources that are on the website. That's how we access them. We also have found, similar to Loblaw's, we have found the shoreline cleanup a really great way to engage our staff. So a lot of staff are stuck in offices all day long. So this gives them a really great opportunity to come out, to actually have a tangible effect on their surrounding community. So we engaged over 100 staff at last year's shoreline cleanup, and it's not easy coordinating that amount of staff to come out and clean up waste, but we had such great support, and we had really great support from our leadership. So it was we're super excited to participate in that this year if possible, if there's a way that can happen. But we have found that that's a really great way to motivate, especially people who are not sure about if they want to participate in a program like this. So it's been a great way for people to come together and just kind of get a taste for what the program's about. And these are just some other pictures of other initiatives that are staff-led. So Helia leads the program and provides resources, and staff are responsible for actually leading initiatives on their own. So many will lead litterless luncheon campaigns, all kinds of things, which is really great because the program is really about encouraging leadership at the city. The other thing to quickly mention too is we've been participating in WWF's Sweater Day contest. Well, we make it into a contest, but the Sweater Day program, which is about energy conservation. And so this picture at the bottom is just from this past year, from our winning team, which was really fantastic. So the other great thing about WWF is if you can find a way to create incentives and engage staff make it fun, you get a lot more interest. And so we have found that making sustainability fun is really a good way of engaging staff. And the other thing to mention too is WWF is one of many programs that we participate in. We also participate in Partners in Project Green's People Power Challenge, which is another program that we participate in. And so it's really great to find these types of programs that we can just integrate into our existing program.
What are some of your top tips for anyone who wants to bring more sustainability to their workspace, or not even your workspace, maybe your local community or into your life? And what are some steps also to reduce your carbon footprint?
So the first, in terms of bringing sustainability to the workplace, I would say it's always easier if you can find a couple of people to kind of help go on the journey with you. Don't feel like you have to do it by yourself. I would strongly suspect that there are people that when you join the workforce, or if you're currently in the workforce, people that feel the same way as you and that would want to get involved with you. So starting a green team, I think, is a really great first step. And we do have a resource on how to do that online if you're interested. And then from there, I think Diana mentioned senior leadership or leadership support for sustainability is really a critical, and I would say it's it can be the difference maker between a really impactful sustainability program and one that has trouble getting off the ground. I think if you're able to show that your employees, your colleagues care about this, and make that case to senior leadership and get their buy-in. So one example of how you could do that would be to ask someone to be the executive sponsor of your green team. And that way they would be kind of overseeing and making suggestions on some of the plans that you might want to make, and they would be able to be kind of the voice for you for that kind of higher level sustainability conversation. In terms of personal carbon footprint, so I, in addition to my work at WWF, I also volunteer for an organization called Carbon Conversations TO. And our focus is really that, to help people reduce their personal carbon footprint. So what I would recommend as one of the biggest first steps that you can take is actually understand what your carbon footprint is. So measure it. And there is a tool. Unfortunately, the tool that I know is quite Ontario based. So it's probably still somewhat applicable to Canada, but I would still recommend filling it out even if you're not in Ontario, but it's called Project Neutral. And so we at Carbon Conversations TO encourage people to measure their carbon footprint. You might be surprised at the areas in which that contribute. Things like transportation, specifically air travel, but your commute to work can also be a big one. Your diet can be a big one. Your purchasing habits, even waste contributes as well. So this footprint calculator will give you a good overview of where you're, and also home energy is a big one as well. The footprint calculator will give you some options and some ideas and suggestions on where your largest footprint lies and what areas and where the opportunities are to reduce. The other thing that I would say in terms of reducing your personal carbon footprint is that it does help to have people with you, kind of help you go through it together. So whether it's you and a couple of friends committing to, hey, like let's have a goal to reduce our carbon footprint by 20% over the next year or something, kind of keep each other accountable for that and give each other updates on where you're at. Or if you don't have anyone who's keen on doing that, join an environmental group, volunteering. For me, volunteering has been really helped me to stay motivated because I'm constantly in conversations with people who are also motivated, and it keeps me on my toes and keeps me accountable and wanting to walk the talk.
One question I had to follow up on Carbon Conversations and your work there. I know you you helped to kind of found that project as well, and you do a lot of volunteer work there. What advice would you give to someone who wants to create their own project or group around an environmental area? And also to anyone, like a youth who wants to get into the climate career space in the future?
We asked for a lot of support from people who had started their own or who are kind of in that leadership position for environmental organizations. So it wasn't just us thinking about it ourselves and thinking about, okay, well, how can we do this? And there was a lot of brainstorming involved, but I think you do really need guidance from people who have experience in the area. So that was one thing that I would definitely suggest. The other thing that again has really helped me is if you're able to find an organization that aligns with your values, volunteer with them, find people, you'll find people who are like-minded just as you, and you can, figure out if you want to maybe do further work with them, figure out how you can use that volunteer experience, put that on your resume to then get into an environmental career.
Amazing. Those are all really great tips. Diana, Helia, or Matt, do you have anything you want to add on for that specific question? And I also have a couple questions for you as well about your different areas of climate action.
Then quickly,
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to say, when it comes to getting engaged in sort of a sustainability or climate type profession, I think it's really important to always remain curious, to ask questions, to be open-minded. There's always going to be somebody out there that has a little bit more experience or knows a little bit more, but just try to ask questions and get involved and be very comfortable with where you're at and sort of complement each other, right? If you're going to be working in a profession or you want to get involved, just, try to do a bit of research, try to do a bit of background, do a bit of reading on your own to understand what that area is, but then just go in really open-minded and it could only serve you well.
One question I have is, as consumers, what are things we can do to help corporations be more sustainable?
So Loblaw, we as an organization pride ourselves on providing our customers with choice. If you go to any one of our stores, you're going to see every product under the sun, from sustainable seafood to plant-based products to organic products to dairy-free milks to other alternatives, regular meat, different things. If there's things that you're interested in or that you want to be passionate about relating to some of those things, ask questions, and also share your opinions, share your feedback. If you guys are like, if you think that a plant-based diet is a little bit better, share your feedback and say, oh, we tried this product, it's amazing. Things related to sustainable seafood. Also ask questions. Like, people don't really ask questions to the grocery team or to the cashiers or to the management team. But if there's something that you want that isn't available in the store, like sustainably sourced palm oil or cocoa or whatever, ask the question. It also brings to our attention things that we might not have in our store, and then we can be a little bit more sustainable and environmentally friendly by looking into those options and offering them in our stores. So that would be sort of one really easy tip to sort of bring sustainability at the forefront for average consumers.
Would something else be, something that came to mind is voting with our dollar. So the products that we do buy from you, if we buy more environmentally conscious products, does that also tell your corporation that we support that more than we do for other products?
100%. 100%. So we look at sales data very closely. It's very expensive to launch new SKUs or new products. And if customers aren't receptive to those products or they don't enjoy it, they're not going to be on the shelf the next quarter, the next year. But if consumers really like the sustainably sourced seafood products or the plant-based product or the fair trade coffee or cocoa products, and they're only going to buy those products, then it's a huge red flag, not a huge red flag. It's a huge indicator to us that is what our customers care about. And it's going to inspire us to offer even more. I think plant-based really is one great example. Back in 2018, we only had one certified plant-based product, PC, so private label, like President's Choice, private label product on our shelf. Last year, we expanded that to 22 products. By the end of this year, we're going to have nearly 50 products because our consumers care about sustainable plant-based proteins. As more consumers enjoy and purchase those products, it's going to encourage us to continue to offer those products.
Could you give a recent example of products that have been consumer-led or requested specifically for Loblaw stores, or how much power does the consumer voice really have in that with our purchasing, what we buy, and also asking questions about our product?
No, it's huge. Like it really is huge. Also through our PC Optimum program. I don't know if many of you are like PC Optimum members, but whenever you purchase anything, there's data that gets tracked. And we can see sort of repeat purchases when it comes to certain products. So from like a consumer perspective, you might not necessarily know that you're feeding into that data, but when it comes to these types of purchasing decisions, we look at it very closely, and we continue to expand our portfolio of sustainably sourced products based off of consumer behavior. I don't know if that answered the question exactly, but that's sort of what we're working on.
She said yes, and that's all really great to know. So thank you. I think all of us will start making sure we use our dollar to vote for the products we want to use, and also doing more research and asking questions as well. So
yeah, and reach out to us on social media, like on Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram. If you like something, let us know. If you're looking for a certain product that's certified sustainable, but you can't find it in our store, let us know. like we pay very close attention to these kinds of things, and you can always reach out to the CSR at Loblaw email handle. Just shoot an email and say, oh, we want more of this, or we don't like this, or whatever, and then we're going to respond. So
what's the most difficult part of internal sustainability initiatives? And then again, what's the most rewarding project you've done so far?
I think for me personally, though, what I have found challenging, we talked about how important leadership support has been, and talking about our program having initiated in 2014. It's taken us a long time to build up that support. And so the first, I would say 2014 to maybe even 2016, the first couple, 2 or 3 years, not having like full support from our leadership was really tough, because when you don't have that top, like, you really need sustainability to be, you need to tackle it from every level, from your leadership, from the ground up, from every level. And so if you don't have that support, then it's a real struggle. So I know certainly working on the program in those initial years, that was a struggle for me. Helia, I'll let Helia provide her perspective.
Yeah, so just based on what Diana has said, top-down support is very necessary to any project or anything that you want to do within a corporation. One thing that I've experienced as an issue that we are closely trying to work on is also onboarding new staff. Like, how do you get the new people to also care about the things that your corporation cares about? And how do you reach those people as well when they're onboarded? Because you can only do so many training sessions, and then people get training fatigue at a certain point. So the Green Leaders Program is very rewarding. Just seeing the care that the Green Leader volunteers have and taking that extra initiative, I feel like very empowered myself into wanting to take more action, and then seeing how much more I can support them, essentially. Last year in particular, the shoreline cleanup was a huge hit. We were not expecting that many staff to actually take some time out of their day, come out and be very enthusiastic. We're thinking like, oh, people are not going to want to go by the water, but people were in there. People were getting dirty. They were okay with it. So seeing them take such action was very empowering, and it makes me want to do more. So it's great.
I think at this point we're kind of running a little bit out of time, so we're going to be wrapping up with some key takeaways we have from all of you. Our top 3 takeaways were that we have 10 years left to take action for climate change, and maybe less, and we can't do it alone. We need to work with others, so collaboration is key, and partnerships to lead bigger initiatives to make an impact. Our second takeaway was programs like the shoreline cleanup engage people to take action and work together towards conservation, and find existing programs to participate in is a really great way to start your own. So getting involved with different programs like the ones at WWF or other similar initiatives is a great way to get started. And for tips on bringing sustainability to the workspace, which is our third takeaway, making sustainability fun is key to engaging people and achieving bigger impact. Find people to go on the journey with you, and also get leadership to buy in. So that could be a senior sponsor, an advisor for your initiative, or any other leadership support. Thank you to all of our speakers today. Thank you, Amy and Helia and Diana and Matt, for all your presentations and answering our questions. I know myself, there were so many takeaways I've had from our questions. There was way more we want to ask too, but thank you for answering those and for everything we learned today.